Hello everyone and welcome back to Carvenus 14. Yep, we are back at it again with another Arlecchino video. Now, it's safe to assume that a majority of players are actually going to be going for Arlecchino, simply because of the fact that Arlecchino gained, she has one of the most liked, drip marketings on, all of, Hoyoverse's social media, so she's pretty friggin' popular, and, I mean, it makes sense, right? It really does make sense. Now, anyway, guys, today we are going to be talking about Arlecchino's artifact sets. I've already made one video on her kit. I've already made another video on her weapons. Both of them uploaded yesterday. So yeah. Sorry, not yesterday, about 2 days ago, my mind, yeah. So yeah, today we're going to be going over her artifact sets, which ones are obviously going to be her best ones, which ones won't work so well, and we'll probably recommend a few, I'll probably recommend a few two-piece sets as well. So yeah, let's carry on with the video. Now, these sets aren't going to be the best, but if you're early game and you don't have a lot of good options, we will cover them now. So, Resolution of Sojourner is pretty good because it gives you increased crit rate on your charge attack only, though. So yeah, Arlecchino does use her charge attack a decent amount in her, combo, but it's not the main focus. Now, actually, before we do go any further on, guys, we do need to remember a few things about Arlecchino. I've already made an entire video dedicated to her kit, but I don't blame you if you don't want to watch it, because it's an hour long, and, yeah, interesting things happen in that video. But yeah, TLDR, Arlecchino has this mechanic called Bond of Life that gives her 40% pyro damage bonus when she's above a certain threshold of that Bond of Life, right? Yeah. Arlecchino also has a passive which makes it so that she cannot heal, right, while she's in combat. So anything related to healing is not going to work on her. Things like that, basically. She's a very high attack percent scaling unit. So yeah, her elemental skill is also where she gets most of her Bond of Life back as well. So yeah, that's basically the TLDR of Arlecchino's kit. Basically, normal, like 40% pyro damage bonus, you want to retain this as much as possible and gain it as much as possible as well. Yeah. Braveheart, this is actually quite good because it just means that you do more damage to opponents below a certain threshold, and it's 30% more, which is actually quite nice. Defender's Will is not really great. I mean, it's not that bad, but it just makes you a lot tankier, and with the right teammates you shouldn't really have this problem. This is once again a more of a defensive set, sacrificing a lot of offensive power, so it's not a bad set, but it's not that bad either. Yeah. Berserkers. Now, Berserkers is pretty good because it basically makes it so that when your HP is below 70% crit rate, your crit rate is increased by an additional 24%, which Arlecchino probably will be below that much health most of the time anyway, because you're going to be, you won't be able to heal back, so yeah. Martial Artist. After using an elemental skill, increase normal and charge attack damage. This is insane. Like, imagine if these sets were actually 5-star sets. Like, the game would be really, really easy otherwise. Yeah, but after using your elemental skill, increase your normal and charge attack. Like, this perfectly synergizes so well with Arlecchino's kit. Honestly, I think this is definitely her best piece for, like, early game artifact sets. Instructors is only really good for reaction teams, and you're not getting any attack from it, just elemental mastery. Gambler, increase your elemental skill damage by 20%. Defeating an opponent has a 100% chance to remove the elemental skill cooldown. This seems good in theory, but you're going to be over-capping on the amount of Bond of Life you're going to get, so realistically it's a bit redundant. Yeah. And then Exile is not really that great. And then these sets are like, you should not even use any of them at all. Alright, yeah. Blizzard Strayer obviously won't work. Thunder Soother will not work. Lava Walker, unironically, guys, Lava Walker, I honestly think is actually going to be a pretty decent option once Natlan drops. Because if Natlan drops, there's obviously going to be a lot of Pyro-related enemies, stuff like that. So having the Pyro resistance for Arlecchino is going to be pretty good. And you increase damage against opponents affected by the Pyro element or are the Pyro element. So your damage towards them is going to be even more insane. Yeah. And because Arlecchino applies a lot of Pyro anyway, she's going to be able to, have Lava Walker. So Lava Walker is a really good defensive set, but the problem is it's only good against Pyro units, right? Like in terms of the defensive capabilities. But if you are good against the defensive capabilities, like against Pyro opponents, like if in Natlan, let's say, there's a load of Pyro enemies, then this could actually be a pretty good set. Gladiator's Finale, I've seen a lot of people saying Gladiator's Finale is going to be a really good substitute set for her, and I have to agree, guys, because it gives you attack percent, right, which is what Arlecchino wants, and it also increases the damage of sword, claymore, and polearm users by 35% when they use their normal attack. So their normal attacks will have 35% increased damage if they're sword, claymore, or polearm. And Arlecchino is obviously a polearm user. So this is going to be a really, really good set on her. And Gladiator's Finale is one of the most difficult and also one of the most easiest sets to farm for. It's really easy to farm for because the only way you can get it is through world bosses and weekly bosses, right? So when you're farming for other characters, it's actually really easy to get these types of pieces. The problem is you have to spend 40 resin in order to actually get this set. So if you're actively farming for Gladiator's Finale, it's not really that good. Gladiator's Finale is more of a passive farming set, but thing is because Gladiator's Finale has been in the game for a very, very long time, since the very beginning, you probably have a very nice amount of pieces lying about. So if you don't have any Gladiator Finale sets, then I guess just use one of the options I said before. But if you do, then this is definitely a pretty good option to go for. Wanderer's True, I mean, let's go through all of them. Viridescent Veneer won't be good. Maiden's Beloved obviously won't be good. Gladiator's Finale will be good. Wanderer's True won't be good. Thundering Fury, it's not going to be amazing because you don't want to use Arlecchino's elemental skill constantly. It's not really something you want to do. Crimson Witch of Flames is actually a pretty decent set, guys, but the thing is I personally would not recommend this set, and there's actually a very good reason why, alright? Number one, Arlecchino gets 40% pyro damage bonus. Remember here, from this kit, she receives 40% pyro damage bonus when she's above 30%. Now, the two-piece here gives you 15%, so 55% pyro damage bonus. Now, why is that a bad thing? It's not. But it will change up how you want to build your Arlecchino. If you're going for a Crimson Witch of Flames 4-piece, right, if you go for a pyro damage bonus goblet, that means the amount of pyro damage bonus you're going to get will be, where, 86 plus 15, right? Yeah. 86, 40 from Arlecchino's normal attacks, and a 46 from the pyro damage bonus goblet, plus 15% from this two-piece. Well, 86% is already, like, you know, going above the soft cap for elemental damage bonus. When you add 15% onto that, that's like 101%. So now you're going against even more of a soft cap. Like, it's even more of a softer cap, basically. Like, it's more, well, it's gone from soft cap to, like, starting to become a hard cap, basically. So you'll be over capping on Crimson Witch of Flames artifact sets. So it will change up how you want to use your artifact pieces, right? How your artifact pieces will go. Now, in terms of artifact stats, I definitely should have gone over that earlier, but we will go more in depth into that at the end of the video, alright, guys? So, yeah, and it also increases your reaction damage. So, if you've got a reaction-based team with Arlecchino, then this is definitely a good set to go. Thing is whenever you whenever you trigger your elemental skill, you'll basically increase the set bonus by 50%, up to 3 times, so 150%. So, 15 multiplied by 150 is, well, 50 doubled, or no, 50 plus 7.5 is, what's that, 22.5 plus another 7.5 is 30, plus another 7, that's 37.5% pyro damage bonus, yeah. So, realistically, it's actually not going to be a 15% pyro damage bonus. It's going to be a 22.7% to 22.5% pyro damage bonus, because you won't be able to stack it all 3 times. You'll only be able to get 1 stack. So yeah, that's the thing, guys. Like, Crimson Witch of Flames is a good set in theory because it gives everything Arlecchino wants. Pyro damage bonus and increased reaction damage and even more pyro damage bonus. But Arlecchino already gets so much pyro damage bonus from her base kit and even a pyro damage bonus goblet that this set starts to overcap. That's why, in my humble opinion, I believe that if you're running Arlecchino with the Crimson Witch of Flame set, go for an attack percent goblet instead of a pyro damage bonus goblet, because you won't be overcapping that much on pyro damage bonus, and you won't be losing out as much damage as you normally would be. Yeah. The Blessed Bleach it could be good, but it's mainly a supportive one, so I wouldn't recommend it. Bloodstained Chivalry is a set that I actually forgot existed in the game, I'm going to be honest. Don't run it. Definitely not Archaic Petra. Retracing Bolide could be a good set if you are running a shielder on your team, like Zhongli, Noel, Toma, Xinyan, for whatever reason, I should say. Yeah, if you're running Xinyan, Diona, any shielding unit in the game, if you're running them with Arlecchino, then this is definitely a good set to go for. And running a shielding unit with Arlecchino is not a bad idea, but I don't want to get into that right now, because I'm going to make another video in the future explaining what types of characters Arlecchino works really well with. Yeah. So that will be in another video, but for right now, if you're going to use Arlecchino with a shielder, this is actually quite good, and using her with a shielding unit isn't a bad idea because of the fact she can't receive healing. So shielding is really the only form of durability she has in an actual team fight. Heart of Depth obviously won't work. Tenacity of the Millilith definitely won't work. Pale Flame also is a set that I forgot existed in the game. Shimonal's Reminiscence. Now, Shimonal's Reminiscence, guys, is an interesting set, because what it does is it gives you attack percent, and it gives you normal charge and plunging attack damage increased by 50%. But here's the thing. You need to sacrifice 15 energy for Arlecchino. Now, is that a problem? Personally, I wouldn't say it's a massive problem. It is still a problem, but it's not as big as you might think. Why? Because number one, Arlecchino's burst cost is 60, which means she's able to get her burst up a lot more often than you normally would. Alright? Number two, if you're running Arlecchino with a unit like Bennett or Zhang Ling, you're able to get her burst up a lot faster, because Zhang Ling and Bennett are two of the best pyro batteries in the game. Not even pyro batteries, I would argue probably one of the best batteries in the game, period. Right? Yeah, they're definitely up there with Fischl, who else off the top of my head? Chong Yun is also pretty good at generating particles as well. Jing Chui is really good, provided you have Sacrificial Sword, but otherwise, even without Sacrificial, he still produces a decent amount of particles. Animo Traveler, Geo Traveler, yeah, like, they're all really good at generating particles, but Zhang Ling and Bennett are like the pyro batteries, if you didn't know. Yeah, so if you have Zhang Ling or Bennett paired with Arlecchino, and you have Shimonal's Reminiscence, it's actually not a bad set. However, one thing you do need to get into your heads is that if you are using Shimonal's Reminiscence, you will be using your burst a lot less. Now, is that a bad thing? It depends. It really does. Because number one, Arlecchino's burst has really, really high scalings, right? At level 1, it's 370%, which is above average, or around average. At level 6, you've already gone above the max, like the amount of normal damage for people. So at level 6, even before you start using weekly boss material, that's already a really good stopping point, right? 518% is a lot of extra damage that you're just not going to be using with Shimonal's Reminiscence. You definitely can still use Shimonal's Reminiscence, right, with Arlecchino, but, you know, you will be losing out on some damage in most rotations. You won't be able to use your burst as often, and that means you will be missing out on some damage with this artifact set. And also, Arlecchino's burst gives you max Bond of Life, so you obviously want as much Bond of Life as you can, because Arlecchino's damage literally scales with the amount of Bond of Life she has. The more Bond of Life she has, the more damage she's going to do through her normal attacks, and she consumes her Bond of Life through doing normal attacks every 0.05 seconds, so she's going to be using it very, very quickly. Like, literally every single auto attack or attack that she does will consume her Bond of Life. And the fact that you don't get 15% max HP as much as often definitely does reduce Arlecchino's damage output in the long term, right? Because at first it may not seem that bad, but over time Arlecchino will lose out because she's not able to sustain herself with Bond of Life as much as she normally would. So Shimonal's Reminiscence is a good set. However, it's only a good set if you can still burst off like Arlecchino, like every single rotation you can do. Yeah, if Arlecchino can burst very, very consistently and consecutively during a rotation with the amount of batteries that you have in the team, then Shimonal's Reminiscence is a really good set. Otherwise, I would not recommend it. Yeah. Emblem of Severed Fate is okay. One more thing, guys. Shimonal's Reminiscence actually does change depending on your constellations, right? It really does, because the way that Arlecchino's constellations work kind of fluctuates with how you kind of want to play her. In fact, Arlecchino's playstyle actually does change quite a lot with some of her constellations, right? At least her earlier constellations. One of her earlier constellations, right? And maybe and to be fair, towards the end of her constellations, she also does actually change her playstyle up a little bit, right? The way you want to play her. So yeah, like Arlecchino arguably is one of the characters that definitely changes up quite a bit, right? With some of her with each of her constellations, actually. Yeah, all of her constellations, I could probably say that changes Arlecchino's playstyle, except her C3 and C5, which kind of makes sense, and her C6 not so much. But her C1, C2, and C4 definitely do change up the way you want to play her a little bit. So yeah, but I will definitely go into a more in-depth video on how Arlecchino's constellations benefit her or, compromise her, and how her playstyle changes in the future. And I definitely do want to make another dedicated video on Shimonal's Reminiscence and Arlecchino's constellations, because Shimonal's Reminiscence actually works very, very differently depending on what constellation level you have Arlecchino at, and we'll go into depth with that in another video in the future. So yeah, Emblem of Severed Fate, obviously not. Husk of Opulent Dreams, definitely not. Ocean Hued Clam set, you must be high. Vermilion Hereafter is also it's not a bad set in theory, but you need to consistently lose HP. Arlecchino does not have a consistent way to lose HP unless she gets hit a load of times. And even then, that's still not consistent because, you're relying on the opponents to deal damage to you. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, what about Farina? Yes, Farina could work. There's a problem, though. Arlecchino and Farina do not work that well together because of the fact that Arlecchino cannot stack Farina's fanfare points that quickly. Why? Because Arlecchino cannot get healed. Because she can't get healed, you're already taking away one half of the equation for what, Farina can provide you in terms of damage output. So because of that, Farina and Arlecchino, they can work, but they're not efficient. Like, Farina you definitely can use in another team, and she'll be even better there. But if you pair Arlecchino and Farina, they will not complement each other. Farina cannot give as much as a higher damage potential for Arlecchino as much as she normally can with everyone else, because Arlecchino will not let her because of her passive. So Vermilion Hereafter just does not work. I'm going to go more in depth with Arlecchino and Farina in another video at the end of the in the future, guys. So do stay tuned. So yeah, that's like 2 videos I've already named I'm going to be doing in the future about Arlecchino. So yeah, Echoes of an Offering would be a great set, unless you have really, really bad Wi-Fi for some reason. Because for whatever reason, Echoes of an Offering really depends on your ping rate or how fast data can travel between your, your cellular device, whether it be a laptop or PlayStation, your mobile phone, to your Wi-Fi router. Weirdly enough, it really depends. So the more latency you have, the worse this set is. So yeah, it's very unreliable. And the fact that this set needs to critically strike also is really odd, because, like, yeah, Arlecchino attacks really quickly, but, like, it's very inconsistent with the damage you're going to be doing. So it's an okay set, but I wouldn't recommend it. None of these sets here work. Definitely not this. No. Marechaussee Hunter's another set, guys. It's the exact same issue. Marechaussee Hunter has the exact same issue that Vermilion Hereafter has, right? It relies on Arlecchino losing HP in order to really be useful. Now, the 2-piece is really good because the normal and charge attack damage is increased by 15%. That's really nice, right? And, of course, the crit rate is also nice, but Arlecchino needs to lose and gain HP consistently. As far as we can tell, at least as far as Arlecchino's kit goes, she is another Fontaine character alongside Navia. In fact, Arlecchino and Navia are the only 2 Fontainian 5-star characters in the game right now that don't drain and gain HP. They're the only 2 that don't do that. So because of that, Arlecchino doesn't have a reliable way, and it's the exact same thing that Farina won't really fix this issue, right? Because Farina's just not efficient with Arlecchino. Yeah. So it's not a bad set, but it's not really amazing. I wouldn't recommend the full 4-piece. The 2-piece is good, but not really the 4-piece. Golden Troop increases the elemental skill damage, so Arlecchino's elemental skill will do more damage, but Arlecchino's elemental skill never was the main focus of her kit anyway, so no. Song of Days Past won't work, Nighttime Whispers in the Echoing Woods won't work. Now, we get onto Arlecchino's signature weapon. Now, signature artifact set. This is obviously going to work, and it's definitely going to be by far one of the best artifact sets you can have on her, because the attack, it gives you attack percent to attack percent by 18%, for the 2 pieces, and then the 4 piece is whenever the value of a Bond of Life, which is literally what Arlecchino has as her core part of her kit, when the value of a Bond of Life increases or decreases, this character deals 18% increased damage for 6 seconds, and it can stack up to 3 times. So basically, guys, Arlecchino can lose, Bond of Life stacks every 0.5 seconds, and she can obviously consistently gain it after using her elemental skill, right? Yeah. And also her burst, right? So Arlecchino is going to have a very, very easy time proccing the weapon's, 4-piece. And the crazy part is it stacks 3 times, which means 18 multiplied by 54, for those of you that don't know, is 54%. This increases your damage by 54%. So all of the damage calculation that you do, I did go over this in my kit details video during her artifact section, but all of the damage that you do, so your base attack, your, so your base attack, your normal charge attack multipliers, your talent level multipliers, your reaction damage if you're running any, your crit damage, and then all of that is multiplied by up to 54%. Yeah, it's ludicrous the amount of, damage that this artifact set will give you once you fully stack it up, and Arlecchino can instantly stack it up. Like, just do her elemental skill and then 2 auto attacks, and you have it fully stacked up. And it's like that for the next 6 seconds, right? And when Arlecchino does an auto attack, you keep draining your Bond of Life, which means you keep resetting the timer for this 6 seconds, so you can permanently have this up. Yeah, which is why Fragments of Harmonic Whimsy is like her best artifact set. Unfinished Reverie, I should say, is actually not a great artifact set for her, because it's more of a burning off-field artifact set, and there isn't really a character that's like that right now, except the rumors are that someone in patch 4.8, someone named, what's her name, like Emily or something, is going to be like a Dendro unit that has that focuses on the burning reaction. So this set is probably going to be made for her. So yeah, but anyway, guys, that's basically it. So just to TLDR everything, Fragment of Harmonic Whimsy is definitely her best in slot set. Then I would probably say the next one is actually going to be Gladiator's Finale, and then I would say Shimenao's Reminiscence. And the reason I say that is because Shimenao's Reminiscence is very inconsistent, and it really depends on your team comp, whereas Gladiator's Finale, yes, gives you less damage, but is overall a lot easier to play around with. Yeah. And then Crimson Witcher Flames is not bad, but you definitely do need to change up how you're going to build Arlecchino with the way it's going to work and stuff like that. So, yeah. Also, this doesn't even take into account of Arlecchino's signature weapon, because if you use Arlecchino's signature weapon, guys, in best case scenario, it will give you another 20% pyro damage bonus. So you're going to be overcapping the absolute living hell out of Arlecchino with pyro damage bonus. So yeah, you really want to be careful with Crimson Witcher Flames, because it seems good on paper, but it really, really depends on how much damage bonuses you're getting from Arlecchino herself, whether you have her signature weapon, and any teammates, like if you're running Zhang Ling or Bennett, who can give her pyro damage bonuses and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's basically been the video, guys. It's a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but I guess I kind of got sidetracked with explaining some more things about Arlecchino that wasn't really related to the video, just to give you guys more context about what I'm trying to go with. So, yeah. But anyway, guys, that's basically been the video. I have been Carvenus14, and still am, and I hope you all see each other in the next vid. How the hell does that make any sense? I apologize. Let's do that outro again. I have been Carvenus14 and still am, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day, unless you're living in the UK, which by the time this video goes out right now, you'll all be asleep, or on your phone watching Instagram reels, whatever you want to do with your life. But ayo, I ain't your mum, because I'm not a girl, and I ain't your dad, because I don't have the correct equipment to become a father. What the hell am I saying? Listen, guys, just go to sleep. All right, just go to sleep. Goodbye.